step-by-step exam solutions. Okay, maths class, training you to excel. Subscribe, give a thumbs up, share with friends, notifications so that you don't miss any video. Okay, maths step-by-step to exam success. Step 1, plan. Step 2, pray. Step 3, prepare. Step 4, preview. Step 5, perform. In this presentation, we are looking at WASSCE or WASSCE May June 2012, question 10 and 11. Question number 10 is on statistics, standard deviation. Question number 11 is on geometry, perimeter, area of a cylinder, and area of a cube. Let's go to question number 10. Question number 10. The table shows the distribution of marks scored by students in an examination. Calculate, correct to 2 decimal places, the mean. B. Standard deviation of the distribution. Let's see how to solve this question together. That's the table, the class interval, and the frequency given. The total frequency from the question is not given, so we need to calculate the total frequency. So we start by adding 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 6 is 11, plus 11 is 22, plus 8 is 30, plus 7 is 37, plus 2 is 39, plus 1 is 40. So the total frequency is 40. So now the next step is to calculate the class center, and the class center is evaluated using the upper and lower class boundary. So we add the upper and lower class boundary, 60 plus 64, and divide by 2, that's 62. For the next class, 65 plus 69, divide by 2. For the next class, 70 plus 74, divide by 2. Now we can see we discover the pattern to complete that column. The column is increasing by 5, or adding 2 to the lower class boundary. Add 2 here, 67, add 2 here, 72. So I prefer adding 2. So adding 2 here, you have 77, add 2 here, 82, add 2 here, 87, add 2 here, 90, add 2 here, 97. We don't need the total. So now we need to calculate the product of frequency and the class center. 2 times 62 is 124. 3 times 67 is 201. 6 times 72 is 432. So the same way, we can find 11 times 77, 847. 8 times 82, 656. 7 times 87, 609. 2 times 92, 184, and then 97. Then we use calculator to add all these numbers together. So when we use calculator and add these numbers down from 124 down to 97, the total will give us 3,150. Then we're using this and this, we are going to calculate the mean. So the mean of the distribution M is given by the summation of this product of frequency and the class center divided by the summation of the frequency here. So now the mean then will be given by the summation of frequency is 3,150 divided by 40. So therefore the mean will be given as 78.75. That's the mean. Now that we have calculated the mean, we will use the mean to calculate the standard deviation. So for this column, we are going to have 62 minus 78.75. That will give us minus 16.75. The same way, 67 minus 78.75 will give us a minus 11.75. The same way 72 minus 78.5 will give us this. Now discover the pattern again. If I add 5 here, I will get this. If I add 5 here, I will get this. So the pattern is addition of 5. So add 5 here, you are going to get minus 1.75. Add 5 to this, 3.25. Add 5 to 8.25. Add 5, 13.25. Then add 5, 18.25. We don't need the total. So we move to this column to calculate this. Squaring this, we get this. And then square this with calculator, we get this. Using calculator, we square all this. We are going to have all these columns calculated. Then we are going to find the product of this column and the frequency, this column. That means 2 times this will give us this, and then 3 times this will give us this, 6 times this will give us this, 11 multiplied by this will give us this, 8 multiplied by this will give us this, 7 multiplied by the number here will give us this, 2 multiplied by the number here will give us this, 1 multiplied by this will give us this. So we have there this column now filled. We need the total. So use calculator. We calculate, we add this, and add down to 333.06. The total will give us this. So now with this total, we are ready to calculate the standard deviation. So now we move to the next slide. Now we repeated the table so that we can be able to carry out the calculation here. So now using this table, now we need the column here, and then we also need this column to be able to calculate the standard deviation. But let's calculate the variance first. So the variance of the distribution is given by the summation of this, adding everything together here. The summation of this divided by the summation of the frequency. So that gives us the variance. So now the variance now will now give us will be equal to, now coming to the table, the summation of this is this. So now we write it there, and then the summation of frequency is 40. So we divide that by 40. Therefore the variance will be, using calculator, we divide this quantity here. We're going to have this will be equal to 63.19. That's the variance. So now that we have calculated the variance, the standard deviation is equal to the square root of this variance. So standard deviation is equal to the square root of the variance. So now we're going to now replace the variance here with 63.19. So therefore standard deviation will be equal to square root of 63.19. Now using calculator, we can easily calculate this. That will give us a standard deviation as 7.949. Then that will give us a answer as 7.95 to 2 decimal places. Now we go to question number 11. In the diagram, ABCD is a triangular garden, 3n minus 1 long and 2n plus 1 wide. A wire mesh 135 meter is used to mark its boundary and to divide it into 8 equal plots. Find the value of n. 11b. A cylinder with radius 14 centimeter has the same volume as a cube of side 22 centimeters. Calculate the ratio of the total surface area of the cylinder to that of the cube. Take pi as 22/7. Now let's see how we can solve this question together. Now that is the plots of land. So now let's color them so now these are the colors. Opposite plots having the same color. Now we are going to take note that the length of the whole plot is 3n minus 1. So now this is 3n minus 1. Then we have another length here also, 3n minus 1. Then we have another length here, 3n. Then the total length of the wire that need to cover these three lengths will give us a total length, will give us 3 bracket 3n minus 1. Then we are now going to get the total width also. So this is the first width, 2n plus 1. This is the second one, 2n plus 1. This is the third one, 2n plus 1. This is the fourth one, 2n plus 1. And this is the fifth one, 2n plus 1. So the total width for this plot will give us 5 in bracket 2n plus 1 bracket closes. Therefore, the total length of the wire required, or the perimeter of that fencing, will give us 135 meters. That is what is given in the question here. So now we are now going to add these two to get this. So therefore, the total length of the wire or the perimeter is the length plus the width. So now 3 into 3n minus 1 plus 5 into 2n minus 1 is equal to 135. So the next we are going to do is to remove brackets. We remove these brackets by simplifying. Now, removing the bracket, 3 times this will give us this. 3 times 1 will give us minus 3. 5 times 2n will give us 10n. And 5 times 1 will give us 5. That is equal to 135. Then we are going to collect like terms. Collecting like terms, we add the terms in n together and put all the numbers together. So now 9 plus 10 will give us 19n. Minus 3 plus 5 will give us plus 2. Then we are now going to make n the subject. We are going to make n the subject. So now 19n will give us equal to 135 minus 2. So we are going to divide both sides by 19 to find the value of n. So 19n is equal to 133. Then n will be equal to 133 over 19. Dividing out, 19 divided into 1, 19 divided 133 is 7. So therefore n is equal to 7. So now we're now going to go to the next slide to continue the solution for 11b. Now that's the cube given in the question. A cylinder with a radius 14 centimeters has the same volume as a cube of side 22 centimeters. So now this is the cube, 22 centimeters, 22 centimeters, 22 centimeters. Now this is the cylinder, the radius is 14 centimeters. Now the surface area of each face of this cube is L squared, L squared, L squared, and the other three hidden also L squared each. Here in the cylinder, the surface area is made up of 3 parts. There, the curved surface area, and the circular surface area at the top, and the circular surface area at the bottom. So now we're now going to use what we are told in the question, that they have the same volume. So therefore the volume of the cylinder plus the volume of the cube, volume of the cylinder will be equal to the volume of the cube. So therefore pi r squared h will be equal to L cube. Now we are going to substitute the value of pi, 22 over 7, and the radius 14. The height is not given, so that's what we are looking for. It's equal to the length of each of the side of the cube, 22 raised to power 3. So now, using calculator, we can square this, multiply by 22, and divide by 7. You are going to have 616h. Then using calculator, we can find 22 times 22 times 22, and that will give us this. Then we'll make h the subject, dividing both sides by 616. So we're going to have this. Then using calculator, we now find that the value of h will be 17.2857 centimeters. That's the height of that cylinder. The next step now is to calculate the surface area. Now the animation clearly shows us how to do that. Let me repeat the animation again so that we see it. Now the cylinder, when we break it up, results into a rectangle and 2 circles. This is the top, this is the bottom, and this is the curved surface area, and the formulas are stated there. So the total surface area will be given by 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared the two circles added together to give you this, and then the rectangular portion will give you this. So now we are going to factorize this. You have 2 pi r bracket h plus r. Then we make substitution. The value of pi is 22/7. The value of r is 14. The height we have calculated as this. We are going to substitute it here, and the radius is 14. Then we are now going to simplify this. Using calculator to simplify this, we have 616/7. Use calculator. This times this times this is this, and then 7. Then now we replace the value of h. We replace h with its value here. So now we are now going to have this plus 14. Therefore, the surface area of the cylinder will give us this plus the addition of these two, giving us 31.2857. Then we are going now to use calculator to evaluate this. 616 multiplied by 31.2857 divided by 7 will give us a 2,753.14 squared centimeters. Then we now come to that of cube. We are now going to just open up this cube to see the faces of the cube. So now let's open up the cube. So now this is one of the face. Then let's open this side. This is another face, and let's remove this. This is another face. Then we have 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6. Each of these face is L cube. So now, if that is the case, L cube, so the surface area will now give us 6 L squared. Remember, each one is L squared, so and there are 6 of them. So now we have this x1 is equal to 6 times 22 raised to power 2, 22 squared. Then using calculator, we find 22 times 22 and then multiply that by 6. So there, surface area of the cube, it gives us 6 times 484. Surface area of the cube will give us 2,904 square centimeters. Then the total surface area of the cylinder, the ratio of the total surface area of the cylinder to the surface area of the cube will give us the total surface area of the cylinder we have calculated. We'll write it here, and that of the cube we'll write it at this point. Now that is the ratio, but let's divide to simplify that. So we divide through by 2,904. So now you have this side divided by 2,904, and this side also divided by the same quantity. So now using simplifying this, we are now going to have this will give us 0.94 and this will give us 1. So that gives us the answer to this question. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and give a thumb up.